I'm Nick Gostick. I'm Head of IP Commercialisation and Incubation at Loughborough University.
Okay, Nick, what I'm noticing in particular here at Climb 26 and surrounding us here are the universities being a major part, a major focus of what's being spoken about, the work that's being done, and the collaboration between universities, but also with the business sector, with public and private partnerships. So you're from Forging Ahead. Tell us a little bit about Forging Ahead.
Okay, so Forging Ahead is a £16 million project over 5 years, involving 16 universities. It's led from Loughborough University, and the purpose of Forging Ahead is to improve the environment for commercialisation of university research within the Midlands, and all 16 universities are almost all the universities from across the Midlands.
So that it's just great to see that collaboration, and how important is it that universities aren't just working in their own little bubble individually? How much do they have to in what has been a turbulent time for for that sector?
Yeah, I think it's very important to realise the opportunity that there is in developing ideas and intellectual property from the universities. I see each university has a massive amount of value, but a lot of that is quite difficult to extract out of the university, out of the ivory towers and into the real world, where it can actually make an economic difference, create jobs, create companies, create new technology that impacts on people's lives through new healthcare developments, new sustainability developments, and new technologies. But doing that is really difficult. You know, I've been involved for over 2 decades, and it's hard. It's hard because in their very early stages, university companies are risky. The technology is not proved, the market's not proved, and although we are all looking for investment, venture capital investment, the investors are not necessarily convinced. It still looks quite risky to them. So Climb is a great opportunity for us to talk to other universities and actually come forward with a more consistent story about the value of university intellectual property and speak to investors. And part of that is understanding what they need to hear from us to reassure them that it's a good investment, but also what they need to hear from us as universities about the work that we've already put in to make these good opportunities to invest in.
And I suppose without Climb, how limited would your access to investors, to other universities as well, how limited would that be?
We're all very busy, and sadly most investors are London-based. So in the Midlands, there's a few Midland-based investors, but really you don't bump into them, at most business events, because we have to really work hard to create those environments where we meet investors on a more informal basis. Of course, we can send pitch decks to them, but without context, that's a hard sell because they get buried by pitch decks. Every year they probably see thousands. So it's great to have opportunities to talk to investors, but also other universities. The Midlands universities, through Forging Ahead, over the last year have now started to meet more frequently. My colleagues at other Midlands universities, some I knew, some I didn't. Now I can genuinely say I know most of my colleagues at other Midlands universities, and we can share good practice, help each other out. But Climb is broader than the Midlands, so I've spoken to colleagues who work in the North East and the North West and the Yorkshire and Humberside universities. So we're spreading that network of professional colleagues and professional networks and professional interactions, which I think is quite new in this sector, and it feels exciting. It feels that it's purposeful, meaningful, and that by working together we can actually achieve more than we can do just working on our own.
And to enable that mix of let's say, private, public, university sectors in this space, but also if this is a catalyst for the people to come together. How much do you think it might well be the spark for a re-evaluation of the university sector and where the future will be for universities?
Okay, yeah. I think it's important. So 2 weeks ago, a lot of us were down in London. We took over the Royal Society, and 2,000 people from this sort of sector went together to encourage people to invest in university research. Forging Ahead was very well represented there, and I think that was important on a national level. But one of the big announcements was UUK announced that they had a policy of doubling investment into university spin-outs by 2035. That's an ambitious statement, and I think it needs us to have initiatives at significant scale. So Forging Ahead has sponsored the University Zone here, and we just heard a presentation from Laura from Southampton University about their deal readiness toolkit. And that's where a number of universities have come together and created standardised templates that other universities across the country can say, actually that's really helpful for us, because now it's not just me talking to my university lawyers when I want to do a spin-out deal. I've got the backing now of 5 universities and their substantive work to say, actually this is the terms I think that will work and are fair in this area.
Sounds like an exciting time. More conversations sparked here at Climb 26. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.